guys, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from Oops, I accidentally shaved my face.
.com. And together...
It's a .tv, actually.
Oh, okay. Together, the three of us. We are, fortunately, Mark Woodman Breakfast Club. Welcome once again to another episode. And, gosh, it's a bright day today.
Mm-hmm.
We just stuck something in the window to block a little bit of the light. It's just not cutting it. So, and then it doesn't help matters that boy shaved his head. So if you get some glare from that side of the room, it's not my fault.
Right here, this spot. Sorry about that. Head glare. It's getting too hot.
It is hot. What is the deal with that? It's almost getting on to, it's almost May.
Mm-hmm.
In North Carolina.
What month is it almost near where you are? That's a stupid thing to say. What are we smoking today?
We are smoking a Black Cavendish from L.J. Peretti. This is number 432, which I like. I don't think it's 1Q, but I like it.
Do you think that this is the 432nd
tobacco?
Or do you think they just say, hey, let's start with a big number, so they think that we're really, we're really prevalent?
These guys have a lot of tobacco.
I know they do.
Have a lot of tobacco.
They have 432 worth?
I don't know, but I got to hang out at their shop for a little bit. They're in Boston, and I was there on a business trip, and I had a little bit of time to kill. It turned out I had exactly the right amount of time to kill. And I went in there and talked to the guys, bought a couple tobaccos, was able to sample 2 bowls while I was there. And it is not a shop that's designed for people like me to come in off the street and smoke. You are there to get in and get out. It reminds me of an old, like a newsstand, right? Although it is tobacco products, but there's just enough space to move in, make your selection, pay, and get out. I was told, it's been rumored that there is a little bit of a smoking area, but I think that's for the regulars. That's not for guys like me. But it was a great shop. It's old. It's one of those ancient pipe shops in the U.S., and they had some decent tobaccos, and so here we are smoking their tobacco. Oh. If they'd like to send us some samples of any of their other 431 flavors, we'd be happy to try them. All right, so a little something here I want to talk about. A few weeks ago, I purchased...
And subsequently cut
myself with this Gerber Exchange Blade EAB knife. And then I bought their new version, which I gave to Boy almost immediately, because I like this old version. Fits great in my pocket. And that's what I was looking for, was a knife that I could carry with me every day. But when going through TSA, if I happen to forget it's in my pocket, I should be able to toss the blade. So that was my thinking. Well, at the same time...
you have a screwdriver.
You do have to have a coin, at the very least. Yeah. While I was on my search for that knife, I came across another knife called the Rexford R.U.T, R-U-T. And it was an interesting looking knife. Similar concept where it holds a utility knife blade. But it was $135.
Whew.
Yeah. And so I immediately ruled it out of my thinking until I went and watched another guy who was doing a review of similar knives. And he had one, and he also had a knockoff, a Chinese knockoff that he purchased on eBay. So I went to eBay to see, well, what are they selling for? And my gosh, they were like $1.99 and free shipping or something like that. I mean, it was so reasonable. I went ahead and bought a couple of them, and I gave one to Boy, and this is exactly as I received it. I received it in a squished little cardboard box, and then inside of that, wrapped in plastic, is the knife, and also wrapped in plastic were a couple spare blades. And let's just take a look at this and give you the basic review of it. It has, as the Rexford R.U.T, it has a screwdriver end on it that can also be used a little bit for prying. It's got a little slot that you can put a lanyard on. It has a bottle opener, as Boy is demonstrating with his. He couldn't wait till we got to this moment in the video because he has some consuming to do. And then you push on a portion of the knife right here, so it behaves kind of like a liner lock.
Show up close.
And, okay, it takes a bit of muscle to push that. All right, and when you push it, you're disengaging a little bit of a pin, which allows you then to slide the razor outward. Okay, I found that I immediately hated this.
So
Didn't take me any time to draw that conclusion, right? And the reason I hate this, now this may be different than the rut, it is so strong to have to disengage that little pin. It requires so much pressure on one little part of your finger. All right, check that out, fingertip. It's so uncomfortable. I can't imagine using this knife.
on top of that, to get the blade out, you have to grip the blade,
Right.
thus putting your hand in the path of the blade, which is not great. And it's such a design that I can't imagine. Normally, knife knockoffs are
Pretty faithful.
faithful to the design. The quality of the goods is not to the same standard, but oftentimes the design is pretty on par. It's a design as such that just is stupid, and I can't imagine that $150 version of this,
$135. Let's not exaggerate.
$135 plus shipping. Their shipping isn't the same as the $1.20 eBay shipping.
Hey, that thing isn't going to work.
I see that. That's because we didn't use any duct tape on it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine a $135 version of this with the same design being any different than stupid. I don't get it. The bottle opener part works just fine. The screwdriver part just works just fine. And something worth keeping around in a pinch. I mean, it's thin, so it could conceivably go in a wallet, or it's kind of heavy for what it is. I just kept it in my truck because I didn't have anything else to do with it. If I needed any emergency,
Yeah.
I guess it's fine to have. But as far as a daily utility,
I mean, it is a compact utility knife. There's no question about that. So I'm curious about a couple things. First off, if you've even handled the Rexford R.U.T, and you can give us some feedback on it, is it better? I can't in my wildest imagination imagine that it's so much better that I would spend $25 on it. But $135? To me, that's crazy talk. And yet, there's a bunch of people on YouTube that have bought it. And obviously elsewhere.
Right.
Which brings us to another conversation.
maybe the people buy them because of the quality blades they come with. What quality blades do these come with? And have they been used?
They buy them from a carpet installer in China.
These definitely look like Dorco blades.
Yeah. So that brings me to another conversation. This is one of the Dagner cobs, and this is out of the batch that we received, the first 150 pipes from Missouri Meerschaum. I pulled 8 of those. 8, is that right? We received 150. No, I've pulled out about 8%. About 8 per every 100
Wow.
of these is a pipe that I would not imagine selling to somebody for $25, $24. Are they seconds? I wish they would have been. All right. This particular one, I was noticing. Okay, what's the problem with it? Well, the ring isn't perfectly straight on it. The band, I can live with that. The shank or the stem is coming out ever so slightly at an angle, which means the shank was drilled at a little bit of an angle. But to me, the bigger problem is where the shank is going into the cob. There was quite a bit of tear out, and then that is filled with an off-color filler. You see that?
Oh yeah, it almost.
So if you had paid $25 for this pipe, would you be happy?
I don't know. I can tell you in my lifetime I have only spent $25 on a pipe once.
Yeah.
And that was because of a Groupon.
All right.
So I'm the wrong person to ask.
I wouldn't be happy with that.
There you go. You're the
Okay,
right person
I
to
wouldn't be
ask.
happy with that. So this didn't go to somebody. This is going to be well. There you go, boy. There's your Dagner cob.
Woohoo! I'm happy with the price that I did pay, though. Thank you.
Both Jason and I have had to really do some quality assurance, and there again another topic there's quality control and there's quality assurance. Quality control is handled on the manufacturing side, where they could take that cob back to the assembly line, do with it what they have to do, maybe add some finish, right, to that filler,
Right.
to make that acceptable. I can't do that. I am not the factory. I can provide quality assurance. I can go through the cobs that I receive, make sure that the air passes through them, there's not a lot of gunk inside, make sure that there's no obvious defect in them. But even so, there are going to be some folks that will get their cobs and they'll see a problem. Just let us know, right? Not a big deal. We'll work it out. Missouri Meerschaum will make good on it. It's not something that you need to go directly to social media and say, boy, they're making garbage.
Right.
Trust me, they did not set aside their nicest cobs, their nicest stems to make something that is substandard, right? That's not their goal. But somebody made a comment in a social media situation where somebody got a pipe that they weren't pleased with. Not a big deal. We made it right. But someone else jumped on and said, this is just that hive mentality where everybody has to have a Dagner cob because it's the latest and greatest thing. Everybody's got to have a Rexford R.U.T. It doesn't matter that your family's not going to eat this month because you've got to have this razor blade. That's how I ended up with my Savinelli 320. Was everybody had one, everybody was talking about how great they were, and here I am, a cob smoker. Next thing I know, I have to have one. And I bought one. Actually, I have two of them. Because it is a decent pipe. It is a decent pipe.
That's right, because you were going to give me one, but then I bought one.
That's right. But there is something that goes on.
Thank you, Groupon.
There is something that goes on when you're a part of a community and somebody experiences something that they think is exemplary, and they share it and say, wow, this is great. This is the best orange soda I've ever had. And then others try it and they say, wow, this is really good orange soda. You should try it. And the next thing you know, people that have no interest in orange soda are trying it and going, this is awful.
Right.
This is awful. I don't like orange soda. It's so bad.
Right.
So I thought, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that subject of groupthink, hive thinking. What do you think about that? Have you experienced that in anything outside of the pipe smoking world?
Sure. Any community where you have shared interests that's going to exist. I think people like to be able to say, hey, me too. I've had that experience too. And so, it happens. It happens in the vaping world. It happens with technology. Look at anytime Apple releases a new iPhone, there are people lining up days before the sale date, camping out in front of the stores because they want to have it. And then, there are going to be people that aren't going to have that same shared experience.
So then what happens when they complain about that and give an honest review? What happens when the other people then see that there's a negative review out there? All too often, what happens?
They come to the defense of the thing that they love.
Right.
Right? It's that really is what it comes down to is if I feel so passionately about this product, about this person, about this thing, and someone else appears to be attacking them and devaluing them, then I feel a need to come to their defense. Even though in that moment we don't realize that my value of this cob is independent of what other people think, or should be independent of what other people think. So if they think it's crap, it's fine. It should be fine. But instead, a lot of times people think, well, no, I have to come to its defense. And then add to that the layer of anonymity that the internet brings, and then it becomes nasty because people can say terrible, nasty, mean things to each other without any consequence.
No, it's a great pipe and you're an idiot.
Right. And right. And very quickly then the conversation stops being about the behavior or the opinion and starts being about the person. Yeah. And that's dangerous. That's not healthy. But it happens everywhere. It happens all over the place. So that's often a risk. excuse me, that's often a risk of being an early adopter.
Mm-hmm.
Any early adopter is going to meet opposition, and if they're adopting to something that's brand new, people are going to look at them and say, well, that's stupid. And those same people will be using that product in 2 years religiously. And by that point, the early adopters have already moved on to the next thing.
Have you seen the Ox, OXX coffee maker?
No, but I don't do coffee, so.
Okay. It's an industrial box. It's a plastic box that looks kind of like a DeWalt toolbox in a way. When you look at it, you'd think, oh, that must be a cooler or maybe a radio for the job site.
Uh-huh.
And it is designed for the job site. It's very durable, and they show that you can get it dirty and you can spray it off with your hose, and you can throw it around and all this stuff. But when you're ready to use it, you got to find a 110 power supply. If you're on the job site or in a shop, you have that, right? Mm-hmm. And then you add water to it, and it's got a container that holds water. And then you open the top, and you put a K-cup in it. It's a Keurig. It is a Keurig for use on the job site or in the shop. $229, something like that. Mm-hmm. Would I spend $200+ on a Keurig coffee maker here for the shop? Not a chance.
No.
Did I put my name in a contest to win one? You better believe I did. But because they're out there now, because the company, first off, I think it was a Kickstarter campaign. Mm-hmm. And then now they're starting to get them in the hands of some people, influencers on YouTube, early adopters. You're going to see this on some channel that you watch, that someone's going to be using this coffee maker, talking about how wonderful it is, because everyone else is saying it's wonderful.
Right.
Everyone else says that you have to have this coffee maker. I don't fall victim to it often, and yet I, like you, like cool new gadgets.
Right.
And I'm an early adopter in that sense, but I buy the stuff. I mean, people don't send us free things to try out. Now, was it fair talking about a Chinese knockoff and then passing judgment on a quality made American product? No.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No, it's not fair. And you know what? If the folks from Rexford Knives wants to send us one of these, if they want to loan us one, we would be happy to try it and then send it back to you. Right? We're not asking for free swag here. But until that time, I can't imagine a knife of that design being something that I could endorse at the price that it costs.
I absolutely can imagine a knife of that design being a piece of crap.
Whoa,
at $1.
$1.99 it is.
At $2. It's poor design. It's poor design, and poor design executed well. It's still, at the end of the day, poor design.
And maybe they had to work around a patent or something.
Maybe.
Right? Maybe
China doesn't care about that usually.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually.
Well, what they don't know is they don't know what hardness the original one is made. So maybe that springiness there is different.
But they don't know. You don't think China
engineer everything.
You don't think the Chinese bought a $135 Rexford knife before they went into mass production?
I'm sure that they maybe did.
Yeah.
Maybe they did. Maybe they worked from pictures.
Even so, the pictures do it justice because it's a poor design.
Ow.
Until I'm proven otherwise.
We've just blown every chance of getting a sample sent to us.
Why is that?
Anyway, I guess I'm right. I'm right on both sides of that topic. That topic of the hive thinking or groupthink, where I absolutely like to share things that I like, and it makes me feel good if other people who I like try something and go, wow, that was good.
Right.
Whether it's a hamburger someplace or a pipe tobacco or a pipe. And it's also frustrating when someone doesn't like it, but it's even more frustrating when it goes beyond, I tried that, I didn't like it, to where the judgment gets passed that I didn't like it, and anybody who likes it is crazy.
Right. Yeah. Even that, the first level can be frustrating. That happens a lot to me with like TV shows or movies. Like, oh my gosh, you have to see this. You have to watch this show, and they'll watch an episode or two, and they're like, I just don't get it. Happened to me just last week. I recommended a book to a friend, a book that has really spoken to me, and it's about procrastination. I recommended it to Homer, and my friend bought it on tape and has been listening to it on his drive back and forth to work. He's the one that likes to think that he's reading with his ears. We've had that conversation before. And he said on the first day, so he made it about to the point that I am. He's like, okay, I get it. I get the premise, and I feel like every chapter is just rehashing the same premise. I really hope it changes. And then a day later, he said, okay, I think that this book just isn't for me. I think that this just isn't something that I deal with. And he said, now I'm passing judgment, having not finished it. I'm about halfway through. But he said, and I will wait until I'm done. But, it's one of those things that for me, it's like, wow, this, as I'm reading this, I'm like, yes, this is me. Yes, I totally get this. Yes, this is very profound. And he was like, yeah. And that's one of those things where I don't take offense by that necessarily, but I do take offense when someone says that that Back to the Future 3 should be considered as part of the Back to the Future family. It should not be. It should not be. It's not even a part of the same two-part trilogy that Back to the Future is.
In and of itself a good movie? Yes, it certainly is.
No.
But it's not. Yes, it is.
No.
Oh, come on, it is. But it's not Back to the Future.
No. It would not pass the sequel test.
They are trying to get
Back to the Future 3 would not pass the sequel test.
And explain what the sequel test is.
I think we've had a conversation just a couple weeks ago. The sequel test is, if the sequel were the original, would it itself warrant a sequel?
Would it launch a sequel?
And if Back to the Future 3 was a standalone movie, they would not be making a sequel to it. Ergo, not a good movie.
You're stupid.
Star Wars 1,
You're
2,
stupid.
Star Wars 1, 2, and 3, same way. Star Wars 7, yes, it does.
All right. I think you've made your point. I think you've made my point.
You're welcome.
So we'd love to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below, and we'll wrap this up. Boy, anything else to say?
Yeah, so the most important question you need to answer is does Back to the Future 3 pass the sequel test? Yay or nay?
See you guys next week. Make it a great week.
Bye.